Riot Outlaw Radio Live fans, we are live on the air with none other than the legendary Arabian Prince, also known as Professor X. How you doing tonight?
Man, I'm amazing, dog. How about you?
I am doing great. Quickly before we get into this, I want to say I've been a huge fan of N.W.A. my whole life, so this is an amazing opportunity, and I really want to thank you for providing me with your time in advance.
Nah, man, anytime.
So, I have to ask, what made you decide to get into the music industry?
Man, when I was young, well, let me go back, dude. Like, my mom was a piano teacher and classical pianist, doing her thing. My father was a writer of books. He wrote over 100 books, and he was a talk show host on radio stations, so I was surrounded by a lot of music. And just one of the things, man, my mom was trying to teach me piano, and I never wanted to learn, but I was just, bitten by the music thing. My uncles were always feeding my brain with, like, Parliament Funkadelic and Prince and Michael Jackson and a lot of alternate stuff like Kraftwerk and even Kiss. So my brain was just all of this music, man, and I had to, like, get it out my head. So I became a DJ when I was, like, 14 years old. And next thing I know, I was making records.
And I have to ask, I know a lot of us probably already know this question, but I want to hear from you. The name Arabian Prince, how did you get that name?
So that's a funny one, is the fact that my homeboy, Egyptian Lover, he was a DJ. A lot of people know him from back in the day. And we used to DJ together. And we were at a skating rink in Compton or South Central or something like that, either World or Worlds or Skateland at the time. And he was Egyptian Lover. I was calling myself DJ Prince at the time. So I used to dress like Prince because, back in the early 80s, man, you either look like Prince or Michael Jackson or, one of the Rick James. Everybody had something that they was trying to dress like.
Had to rock that Jerry curl.
Oh, yeah, or, punk rock, new wave, whatever, ska. Everybody had a style, so that was my style. And some girl came up to me, and she was like, hey, what's your name? And he was like, Egyptian Lover. And he was like, well, what's your name? I'm like, DJ Prince. And she said, you should call yourself Arabian Prince, because I always see y'all fools together. And I was like, that's cool. That's a good one. And I kept it.
Guess it worked, you know what I mean? Now Arabian Prince is a household name, so.
Hey. I'm glad to be that. It's a blessing.
So in 1984, you started opening with Bobby, Jimmy, and the Critters. How did you guys get connected, and what was that experience like?
So that connection was even more interesting because when I was, 16, I decided to make my own record because my homeboy Dre and Yella and they were with the Wrecking Crew. They were getting ready to start making records. Egyptian Lover and Uncle Jam's Army, because I did a lot of stuff with them. They were about to start making records, and I'm like, well, shit, I want to make records too. So I saved up some money, went to a recording studio, and made my first record. And when I went to the pressing plant to get my record pressed, because I didn't know nothing about it, I had to go figure it out. Bobby Jimmy was there, and his name was Russ Parr, and he was the morning radio DJ at K-Day, and K-Day was the hottest hip-hop station, in L.A. So it was one of those things where it was like, okay. He said, dude, who produced your record? And I said, I did. And he said, oh, you're a producer? And that was the only thing I had ever produced in my life. And I was like, yep. I'm a producer. And he was like, okay. He said, well, I'll tell you what, I got a label. You want to put that on my label, and then you can produce my stuff, I'll put your stuff out, we'll become family and do that. So I put my releases on Rapture Record, which was his label, and I started producing all the Bobby, Jimmy, and the Critter stuff, and then started touring with them as well in parallel to my own Arabian Prince stuff at the time.
So that most definitely was right place at the right time sort of ordeal.
Oh, yeah.
So you also produced the hit single and album for JJ Fad called Supersonic. What was that experience like?
So that was easy, too. It was funny. Everything I've done has always been like, oh, shit, that worked. I used to date one of the girls in JJ Fad, and Dr. Dre at the time was messing around with another girl. They weren't a group yet. So minutes away, and we would just hang out. And one day I was in the studio, actually working on Professor X, of my first Professor X single, and they were like, "Oh, we want to come to the studio." So I let the girls come to the studio, and we went in there, man, and I had finished what I was doing. I had about 4 hours, maybe 5 hours of studio time left that I was going to save for another project. And they was like, "We want to make a record." And I remember they had always asked us, and then Dre was like, "I ain't going to ever touch N.W.A. They're not even rappers, whatever." So I was like, "Screw it. I got some time." We messed around. We did 2 songs, one song, another, Whole Bites the Dust. And that was the one that they wanted to fly because they wanted to, like, battle East Coast rap chicks. So they did that. And I made the beat and produced that. And then I said, you know what? I got a little time left. I've always done, like party songs. Let me do this other song real quick. We'll do it really, really fast, called it Supersonic. And then, boom, we did Supersonic. And it was actually the B-side when we dropped the record on my boys' label, Dream Team Records. It blew up, and we ended up going back and making that the single.
And the name Supersonic is just an easy name. That name will always be catchy.
Hey, it's always catchy, and I don't know if you just heard, it's now the title track for the Sonic the Hedgehog movie trailer.
Oh, I actually did not know
that. Oh, yeah. We just found out last week, and it's already playing. So, hey, that song never dies.
Hey, man, that's what's up, you know what I mean? And that's pretty cool. I noticed on Facebook you shared that link as well for the Sonic movie. I didn't quite catch that until you just mentioned it, but that's pretty cool to actually have your song you produced in a Sonic movie. That's pretty lit.
Oh, yeah, real lit. Loving it.
So, in 1986, you and other members formed the infamous rap group N.W.A. I have to ask, what's the story behind that iconic formation?
Oh, the circle? Well, we had been just
like how you guys all got together and formed N.W.A.
Oh, God. I thought you were talking about the album cover. Well, how we got together was Dre and Yella. They were from the Wrecking Crew. I was doing my own thing and doing stuff with Bobby Jim and the Critters and a lot of other groups on the West Coast. And we all toured together. And at some point, me and Dre would always talk as we would be chilling and hanging out. And we were like, man, we need to make more money because we were young and we didn't really understand the business of music. And, they call it the music business, but we just thought it was the music fun. And it's not the music fun, it's music business, because if you don't take care of your business, you're not going to get paid. So we really weren't getting paid the money that some other people were getting paid that we were doing a lot of the stuff for. So we had to kind of reevaluate what we were doing and kind of said, hey, we need to figure out another way. Easy E and Dre met up, and Easy had a little bit of money because he was like the neighborhood pharmaceutical technician at the time. And so he was like, I got some money. I'm trying to stop doing what I'm doing. Y'all, got production. Let's form Voltron and do something new. So we started N.W.A. and because Yella was with Dre, he came along. Ren was Easy's boy who lived down the street from him. He came along. Ice Cube lived down the street from Dre. He came back from school and hopped in, and boom, we blew that thing up.
And you know what? It's been like 30 plus years since N.W.A. actually debuted, and you know what? Your guys' music is still irrelevant to today's society, man. You guys put Compton on the map, literally.
Yeah. Hey, we tried, man, and like I tell people, a lot of people honestly think that, hey, what you guys did was groundbreaking and meaningful and this and that. But, we were just trying to make records, man, because we wanted to eat. We wanted to talk about what was going on in our neighborhood. We weren't trying to call it gangster rap. It was just something that actually just happened. So, we're all blessed to be able to do the things we did.
And, you guys actually witnessed it. So, like, at the end of the day, like you said, it's not gangster. You actually witnessed this stuff with your own eyes. So, you guys want to bring awareness to everybody else. To be like, this is what's going on, man. And you know what? You guys most definitely made some controversial statements, and you guys most definitely showed the world, like, this is really what's going on. You guys made a huge impact.
Oh, yeah. And like I said, who knew? It just happened. And, I'm glad even to this day that message is still out there.
And so So I also have to ask this: since we're on the topic of like controversial, making an impact, you were also there and witnessed the infamous Detroit N.W.A. concert. What's the real story behind that incident, and how did it all come to be?
Oh, the one in what, Detroit or Chicago?
I think so. Yeah, the one when the police told you guys you cannot perform
yeah,
with the police.
Shoot, that shit, the damn thing happened everywhere we went. That just was the one that got lit because the police in that area, man, they was like a gang themselves. You know, like they wasn't taking what we were saying, and they were going to retaliate, and they actually did retaliate, and it was a scary night, man. It was really, really scary. But hey, we survived, kept going, kept doing our thing, you know, and kept, you know, spreading the word and telling the truth. That's all it was, man. It was just telling the truth.
And I do want to ask this. Obviously, a lot of people they go by what they see in that movie. Was there really an actual riot, or was it just like, or did you guys actually get thrown in a paddy wagon or anything like that? Was it that extreme?
Oh no, it was extreme. I mean, it was really extreme. I mean, it was like I said, people was gonna die that night if it didn't go down the way it did. So, yeah.
So also, there's a lot of controversy with you and the Straight Outta Compton movie. I want to ask, why weren't you in the movie, and when you played such a big role in the group?
Well, you know, like I said, I don't really think it was much of a controversy. For me, I look at it this way. I'm a business person now, man. When I left the group, I was more into, how can I call it? When I left the group, I took care of my business, right? Because I had the hit song Supersonic, and I really wasn't getting paid for that. Jerry Heller was kind of ripping us off of our money. And I'm like, I need to move on and do my own thing. So I did that. And fast forward to the day when the movie was coming out, you know, a lot of those things still were happening where I wasn't getting what I was supposed to be getting. And, you know, I would have to sue, or I would have to do some things with my attorney to get my money. And just so happened I did that. And, you know, some of the people who were running Ruthless Records at the time probably didn't like it. So, hey, but here's the thing, though. It's one of those things where I get to tell my story, and in the movie, you know, some of the people in the group really weren't represented the way that they should have been represented, I feel. You know what I mean? Ren had a really, really big contribution to NWA, and it didn't show that in the movie. So, you know.
Yeah, I noticed that because when I watched the movie myself, like I said, I'm a huge fan of NWA. I always knew Ren had such a big impact on the group, but yet he wasn't in the movie very much. Like, he was there, but he had very little parts. It was mainly just focused on, like, Easy. Mainly.
Yes, for sure. So, you know, that's what I said. I get to tell my story my way instead of just standing back in the corner. And I think my character was in the movie, and I think I was just there in a couple scenes just standing, you know, from what people tell me. I saw it briefly, but I really didn't go into detail with the film. You know what I mean? But, yeah, that's all it was, so.
Yeah, I think the scene that they were probably talking about was at that, the Dope Man concert, like the one where Jerry Heller was shopping you guys in the movie for, like, the record deal with all the different record labels. Cause I remember that's when I saw your character, but I always wondered why, like, your character never talks. That's why I wanted to bring that up since I have you on the air.
Yeah, and also, too, you know, that whole scene, I don't even remember Jerry at any of our concerts. And that's just my opinion, you know, so, I don't know, movies are movies.
It's Hollywood, you know what I mean? Very fabricated. So, as you mentioned, Jerry Heller and the money situation, the one thing I do want to ask, a lot of people say he was stealing money and not paying you guys, something about, like, Eric and him had a conjoined bank. Like, was it true that you guys weren't really getting paid what you were promised, and, like, was he really stealing money?
And so here's my opinion, and I'm just going to put it like this. It's kind of interesting that when we started the group, we shared everything. It was kind of like boys, you know, like, hey, we're going to split everything down the middle. Everybody get their percentage, right? We make records. Everybody takes the records. You go sell them, and that's your money. Jerry got involved. He was bringing in some structure. And then all the money started going to the structure, which is him. And then when you tried to get paid, you had to deal with Jerry. You talked to Easy. He said, I'll talk to Jerry. And then you would never saw royalty statements. You never saw anything. So, and the only reason I knew what was up is because I had Supersonic, which was already a hit and blowing up. And I'm going to say in the kindness of my good heart, but we was homies. So when we started a new label, I got a hit record already. Why not put that on our label? So I took it back from Dream Team Records, put it on Ruthless Records, because that's my boys. I want family to make money. Let me let Supersonic come here and build Ruthless Records, and that's what it did. And then I started finding out that I'm not getting paid the money I'm supposed to get paid for that. So that's when that whole thing started going downhill with me, and it took everybody else just a little bit longer to figure it out.
You know, it sounds bad to say, if you wouldn't have put that, like, your song on Ruthless, people might not have found out till it was too late.
Hey, maybe not. And, you know, some people say that may not have, you know, the whole NWA thing, a whole NWA thing may not have blown up as much because it actually opened the door for NWA because of a hit that was more pop to record labels. Like, oh, they got this record that's on the radio. Oh, yeah, what else you got? Kind of thing, you know, and the money was flowing. So, you know, there was some definitely reasons why that actually helped. Yeah.
And also, one last NWA question I want to ask before we move on to your solo career. So back in the day, K-Day, as you said, was a really, really huge rap radio station. How does it feel just knowing that Boys in the Hood, you know, a song you helped contribute to, was one of the first songs that K-Day actually played that was, like, you know, of that sort of rap music?
Say that one more time. You broke up right in the middle of that.
Oh, sorry. So how does it feel knowing that, like, Boys in the Hood was one of the first, as they say, gangster rap songs to be played on K-Day? Like, how does it feel knowing you contribute to that?
Oh yeah, that's amazing. You know what I mean? Because we help define a genre. You know, we help change the way that people looked at America. We help change the way that people look at just music going forward. You know, yeah, most definitely.
So, after leaving NWA, you released your debut album called Brother Arab, which I have to say, amazing record, classic. What's the inspiration behind that record? And as we already talked about, I can kind of see why you left NWA, but what made you decide to leave NWA?
Well, like I said, what made me leave was Jerry Heller. Just plain and simple. You know, plain and simple. Jerry Heller was the reason why that, boom, I left because of the money situation. And then I decided that, you know, because honestly, I was never a gangster. You know, I wasn't out trying to kill fools and shoot fools. I was just trying to make good music and talk about what was going on in the neighborhood. And when I made my album, I went back to kind of a more party, kind of like, you know, just banging music kind of stuff, not really talk about shit that I wasn't really doing. So yeah, and I kept all the money, you know, and that's why I actually did it, because now I was doing everything on my terms.
And you know that's the best way to do it. You know what I mean? You make your own money. You don't have to worry about any record labels, and most definitely don't have to worry about Heller. So followed in '93, you released your second album called Where's My Bitches? What's the story behind that iconic record?
So that one was, here's what happened. So I dropped the first record. It did good on Capitol, EMI, Orpheus. And then there was this thing where I was getting ready to do the next album, and everybody wanted me to go back to do something more hardcore, because that's what I was known for with NWA. And my thing was like, well, yeah, I'm known for that, but that's not who I am. But they kind of pressured me to do it. Now, here's the funny shit. They pressured me to do it. I did it, and then they said that shit was too crazy. Like, so wait, I'm like, hold up, record label. So y'all told me to do this shit, and just go, whatever I want to do, buck wild. I'm like, I don't kill fools, but I like women. So I did this whole, you know, like kind of mini movie kind of funny thing and it was cool. It was dope. But they was like, we can't put that out. So it never came out through them, and I ended up doing like a hybrid of it because the original song, the original album was called The Underworld. Like if you type in The Underworld, you'll find remnants of that. And what I did with Where's My Bitches is took stuff from The Underworld, chopped it up, and made a whole new independent album.
I actually did not know that. That's actually pretty damn cool.
Yeah.
So, in the mid-2000s, you changed your name to Professor X. What made you decide to change your name from Arabian Prince to Professor X?
So here's another thing. It wasn't the mid-2000s because if you look back, my Professor X record came out in the 90s, the Professor X Saga. And what happened was I was actually doing Arabian Prince stuff and N.W.A. stuff and all of that. And my homeboy, the Unknown DJ, and his boy DJ Slip was doing some stuff together. We all used to hang out. And finally, I was like, man, I got a record I want to drop. And I had, this is the funny part, I was at home chilling. I had just got an Emulator 2, that big-ass sampler keyboard. Had just got that. And I was like, all right. I'm sitting there and I'm watching the X-Men. And the X-Men came on, the cartoon. It comes on like, I think it was like Saturday morning cartoons on Fox. And I'm watching it. And there was this thing where they were talking about the X-Men. And they were like, Professor X. And I was like, oh shit. It just said that, right? Like Professor X. I was like, that's kind of dope. I said, I want to sample that. So I had to wait till the following week till the cartoon came on again. Had my emulator all set up. And boom, caught it. And then I made this Professor X song. And the reason I did that, because I had this idea in my head, a sound, but I had just dropped an Arabian Prince record, and I couldn't just drop another record simultaneously. So I became Professor X for different sounds.
Okay, what was the name of that song that actually had, like, the emulator of the X-Men cartoon?
It was just called Professor X Saga.
Oh, sweet.
That's probably the biggest record that I did, with Professor X.
So also in 2007, you performed as a DJ on the 2K Sports Holiday Bounce Tour. How did you land that gig, and what was that experience like?
Well, that was cool because my boy Peanut Butter Wolf, who owns Stone Store Records, had come up to me and asked me if I wanted to put out my greatest hits on his label. So I was like, all right, cool. So they put out my greatest hits, and then we started collaborating on doing some stuff for the 2K1 Bounce Tour. And I did a couple of songs on there and some remixes and stuff, and boom, that was history.
So also, you worked in special effects there for a little bit, 3D animation and video games. What made you decide to get into that business?
Here's the funny thing. I've been doing that for over 30 years. So in parallel to N.W.A. and all of the rapping and all the stuff I was doing, I was this closet tech head, like doing all kind of tech stuff, and taught myself special effects, animation, coding, and I started doing that. I did like all the visual effects in the first series of Power Rangers, Addams Family, Casper, Silver Surfer, the movie Contact, and a bunch of other stuff, man. So it was just like an alternate career for me.
So when you said Power Rangers, you mean the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, eh?
Oh yeah. The first series of it. Yep, I did the visual effects on that. Just because I thought it was dope, and they brought me in. They thought I was good, and I came up with some new styles and visual effects, and they used them on the show.
I actually did not know that. So that was my favorite show when I was a little kid, man. So thank you for contributing to my childhood, man. That's dope.
Yes, sir.
Also, one of your songs was included on the 2007 video game called College Hoops 2K8. How does it feel knowing your music actually was in a video game?
Oh, shoot. My music's been in a lot of video games, but it's dope, man. It's something that, I've always aspired to do because I love video games, like love them. And, I'm going to keep doing that for sure.
So I have to ask, what's next for Arabian Prince? Like, is there any shows you're doing that you want to promote? Any new projects you want to promote on the air for our listeners?
Man, so one thing that all my fans fans out there who are into my different types of music, they've been begging me and begging me and begging me to do a new Professor X joint. So I've been sitting on like a lot of Professor X stuff, and I'm about to drop a Professor X album that's going to have, you know, kind of some new style stuff, and then some stuff that's kind of an homage to Kraftwerk, because that's where that vision came from for me. And then we'll be working on, I own some esports stuff now. So I'm doing a lot of esports stuff and gaming. We started a couple of esport ventures, and, you know, I'm investing in that. And then I launched a new technology product called M Classic that's going viral now, which is actually the first ever game console graphics processor. So it's like a graphics card for your game console, and that's out there in the market, and it's called M Classic.
That's actually incredible. Is there an estimated release date for the Professor X album?
Last year. Nah, I'm actually going to be trying to get it out beginning of the year, because the tracks are done. I just got to decide, like, do I really want to put vocals on everything? You know, like, cause some of the stuff, like even Kraftwerk stuff, some of the stuff is just not a lot of vocals. It's just kind of like cool, dope. So, you know, I'm doing something that's a little bit, you know, little instrumental, some vocal stuff, a lot of that. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's not bad. So I'll most definitely will keep my eyes peeled for that project.
Yes, sir.
So Arabian Prince, this is the time in the interview that I give the individual that comes on the show a chance to give shout-outs to whomever they want to give shout-outs to, and also their social media handles. That way our listeners can follow you if they're not already doing that.
Yes, sir. We can do that. So if anybody wants to find me, they can find me on my Instagram or my Twitter at OG Arabian Prince. And that's my social media. It's just OG and Arabian Prince.
Is there anybody you want to give shout-outs to or anything? While I have you here?
Yeah, let's give shout-out to SpongeBob SquarePants. It's 20th anniversary. I'm a closet SpongeBob head, and I'm about to come out the closet with that real soon. So, you know, homie's got to have something. So SpongeBob is my peace of mind.
Hey, that's what's up, man. I want to say, Arabian Prince, thank you so much for coming up on Outlaw Radio Live, and thank you so much for providing me with your time. It was an absolute honor. You have yourself a wonderful night, and Merry Christmas to you and your family.
Same to you. I appreciate you. Thanks for the time.
You're most certainly welcome. Bye-bye now.
Thank you.